Hey, welcome back. I'm Ferrikster, here to bring you some more Pokemon Go GBL battles. These battles are played in Master League, Premier Classic, because I don't play regular Master League. I don't raid. It's too expensive. I don't have all those Hundo Legendaries that everyone else has. Certainly not to level 50. My gosh, that's expensive. So, Master Premier Classic, it is like regular Master League, except smaller. You can't use XL Pokemon, and no Legendaries or Mythicals allowed. So, we had this nearly same cup back in Season 2 or 3, whichever one it was. It was the first time that they actually had a restricted meta. Like Season 1, they had no restricted metas. It was all open leagues, and I think it was Season 2 that they actually brought about Master Premier Cup, and Premier Cup was just, there was no XL candy. So it was just no Legendaries, no Mythicals. And actually, back then in Season 2, I'm just assuming. I'm assuming it's Season 2 at this time. If it turns out to be 3, I'm sorry. History gets rewritten sometimes, right? You know what? It's Season 2. I'm confident of this. It was Season 2. So in Season 2, when they first had Master Premier, I was opening Waterfall Gyarados. It was a fairly unusual lead at the time, but then again, it was a strange time. People used things like Rhyperior still. Times were different. Not too sure where I was going with this little sidebar here, but definitely winning this first game because my opponent assumes, wrongfully, that my Metagross has Earthquake and was trying to catch an Earthquake on his Togekiss. So my Metagross is running Psychic. It's not the normal or the recommended moveset, but I think it works out okay with this team, and my favorite thing about it is that it gives Metagross some play against opposing Gyarados. Gyarados is a very popular Pokemon currently, both with Waterfall and with Dragon Breath. So yeah, there's a lot of that. So I didn't want to be running a Pokemon that gets completely hard shut down by it. Like a Shadow Gyarados, if my Metagross happened to end up paired up against one, can take Shadow Gyarados out with a single Psychic, plus all of the bullet punches that it needed to get there, and the ones that it needs to get on the way to the next move. So it's still not an amazing matchup, but, you know, would have some play there. I didn't want to be weak to something that's so highly rated in the meta. So, against Shadow Gyarados in the lead, with this team, I like to just kind of stay in with my own Gyarados. A lot of times when you see a Gyarados, Shadow Gyarados in the lead, with Waterfall anyway, there is a decent chance that there is Double Charm behind it. Waterfall Gyarados Double Charm is a very popular team right now. So not too sure if you're supposed to be running it with the Shadow variant, but all the same, I am just going to try to lick this Gyarados the rest of the way down. I'm going to end up shielding this, and we will see what turns out to be in the back. Like, it's not a sure thing when you see Waterfall Gyarados that there's 2 Charmers in the back, but there's been a lot of that. Alright, and that is not what is here, because that is an Excadrill, which also makes some sense to have behind Gyarados, I guess. Alright, so I'm going to throw the Superpower, and then I'm just going to spam out my next Superpower, and brilliantly enough, my opponent catches that Superpower on their own Metagross. So, now I'm going to switch out into my own Metagross. I guess this is one of those times where if I had Earthquake, I'd be able to just throw Earthquake at them, like shield once an Earthquake, and I would be totally fine. Now this is a little more difficult. I'm throwing my Meteor Mash. And at this point, I can no-shield. If this turns out to be an Earthquake, Snorlax will just lick down, and I'll be alright. And if it turns out to be a Meteor Mash bait, then I guess I have the option of shielding the next Meteor Mash. And having some energy left over for the Excadrill in the back. So I'm just going to throw this Meteor Mash because I don't carry Earthquake, because I apparently don't want my life to be easy. And I'm going to switch in Snorlax. Like, they could throw a Drill Run and take me out, but they need to build up some excess energy because my Metagross still has residual energy. So I guess they lost count of Snorlaxes. I'm going to be able to reach this Superpower and take them out, and that is a GG, but this particular time, it would have been better to have Earthquake on Metagross. I swear not all the games are like that, but I guess we'll see. I haven't rewatched these yet. All right. Gyarados into Magnezone. So this looks like a terrible, terrible lead, but it's actually just sort of bad. Like, it's okay. It's bait dependent. If they Wild Charge and I shield, then they are forced to switch out. And well, this time he Mirror Shot baited and still swapped out anyway into Togekiss, so that's fine. I'm just going to bring Metagross out. It is 10 charms to get to the Flamethrower, so as long as I throw this first Meteor Mash before they reach that, I can force a shield, and if they shield, I'm fine with that. I have to shield this because if the Flamethrower lands, that plus the charms will KO me, even though I'm like best buddy. Like the charms just chunked so much, and Flamethrower is actually a pretty decent move. So I have some energy, but I am totally out of shields. And there's a Magnezone back there that already has some energy. So kind of in a rough spot. Gonna throw this Psychic, and they no-shield it because there was no chance that it was an Earthquake, so it could only have been a Meteor Mash, which is double resistant and doesn't do any damage. So, you know, tiny benefit to having Psychic there. I was able to do more chip damage. Which means this Magnezone is now getting really, really low. Gonna throw the Wild Charge, which is the right move. What's it called? The other move would definitely not have done enough damage. Mirror Shot. Mirror Shot would not have done enough damage. And there's a Gyarados left over in the back. So this is fine. Snorlax into Gyarados is a mostly neutral matchup. But since I got in a few licks ahead of time and didn't really take any damage, it makes it a little bit better. I'm going to no-shield all of these moves from them because we're out of shields. But even if we had shields, I would have no-shielded them. I don't know what I'm talking about right now. Oh my gosh. I'm going to bring my Metagross in and force them to throw some energy. And yeah, since I had some energy already banked up, like they're going to switch out into their Magnezone, but I'm going to be able to reach this superpower, which is wildly unnecessary. Just looking at it, it's very clear I could have just body slammed down. But going to land that and be able to just lick Gyarados the rest of the way down and manage to take that game. That's a GG. Oh, right. These games are not all from like the same continuous sets like my normal videos. I have not been doing just continuous sets of one thing. I've been jumping back and forth between MLPC and Kanto Cup because queue times are very long right now. And, you know, if I do one set in like either of those leagues, there's not really 5 other people still playing them. So, you know, to make queue times a little bit faster, my sets have not been in one thing. Just I'll queue in something in one of those leagues, and you know, if I've been there for more than 5 minutes or if I lose patience, I go and I queue in the other. Just trying to find an opponent wherever I can. Because with 3 options of leagues to play, it's tough to find a match right now. All right, so I'm going to get crunched by that Gyarados, and as a result, lose switch advantage, which is rough. Gonna bring my own Gyarados back out and Waterfall down, and Magnezone comes out. So this is actually good, because if Magnezone was saved for Metagross, I would be in a way worse spot. Like, even though these Sparks are double resisted, it's only chunking about as much as my neutral hitting Waterfalls are, and I'm gonna shield this Mirror Shot bait here, which is fine, so that I can get this shield back with my Aqua Tail. And, like, I just need to get this Magnezone down into a range where Metagross can Bullet Punch down. Like, if this had turned out to be a Wild Charge, it would have done, like, so... It would have KO'd me, but then, you know, with their defense dropped, I would be able to Bullet Punch down. Bullet Punch is double resisted, so I'm going to no-shield this Wild Charge because I don't need to worry about that. I need to be concerned about the Bulldoze from this Mamoswine. So I'm going to shield this. Obvious Avalanche bait, but that's okay. Because I am going to be able to get to this Meteor Mash, force the last shield out because Magnezone is too low for them not to shield here. And I'm going to be able to reach the next Meteor Mash before they're able to even get to their next Avalanche, just because I had that excess energy built up from before. So yeah, managed to take out that Mamoswine and managed to take that game. That's a GG. It's actually better for me in this particular matchup that I lost switch advantage. Because I was able to get a little bit of energy built up on my Gyarados. Both of my Pokemon had great play against Mamoswine, and both of them had not really that much play against Magnezone. So I'm not going to pretend it was calculated or anything. It was serendipitous that I lost switch there and was able to farm up some energy with Gary. All right. So Snorlax into Garchomp. Kind of a bait-dependent matchup. I think they're actually throwing this Sand Tomb before it could even not be a Sand Tomb. So kind of committing to just debuffing once and farming the whole way down, and that's fine. They're gonna, if that's their play, they are definitely gonna end up having to shield one of these body slams. And it maybe would have made sense to actually start superpowering beforehand, just so that they would get one less Dragon Tail of damage in. All the same, I think this Garchomp is at like 8 or 9 or something. I'm going to Waterfall, and I think I actually get an invisible Waterfall in here, which I don't see, but I'll see register after. Yeah. And I'm able to take them out. Correctly shielded the... oh my gosh, I played this all wrong. So Togekiss comes back out, and there's an Excadrill in the back. And that is a very common thing to happen. So a lot of teams that are leading Togekiss have an Excadrill in the back to... hard counter Metagross, and a lot of teams that are leading Excadrill have a Togekiss in the back. So those two things are being used as a core, combined with a safe swap, usually either Gyarados or Snorlax. So just kind of got to be aware that when you see either of those two Pokemon, Excadrill or Togekiss in the lead, there's a decent chance the other one is in the back. It's not going to be the thing that they switch to, but the other one is back there. So, in that situation, the right thing to do when Gyarados comes back out if you lose switch is to stay in against Togekiss and just spam out your Aqua Tails. The opponent can't swap out, and only once you take the rest of their shields, then do you swap out into Metagross. That makes that matchup so much better. The way I played this out was terrible and absolutely doomed me. Like, still a close game. Like, there's definitely play there. But there's better ways to play that out. I'm positive that's going to come up again during this video. All right, Gyarados into Haxorus. So Haxorus is kind of difficult for my team, not only because it does pretty well against both of my backline Pokemon. Like, Haxorus can win switch off of anything. Like, I can't force my way into winning switch advantage off of a Haxorus lead. All I can really do is try to get... try to get lucky with them no shielding the crunch and maybe getting the debuff or something. We have some lag, so I've kind of lost count here. I'm going to no shield this Dragon Claw and get taken down. But that's okay. I've done decent enough damage that I can come in now with Snorlax and lick the rest of the way down. I'm going to end up having to eat one move, and I didn't want to end up taking a Night Slash on Metagross because it does like 50% of my health. And yeah, they're going to bring in their own Snorlax. So, yeah, one of the things that makes Haxorus difficult for my team to contend with is that Haxorus is completely walled by a Togekiss lead, so they have to have, one hard counter to Togekiss in the back, which oftentimes will end up being either an Excadrill or a Metagross, which is, fairly dangerous for my backline also. So Snorlax, Excadrill against Snorlax and Metagross. I'm definitely a little disadvantaged here. I'm going to shield that superpower, which is definitely the right move. Thankfully, I've gotten, I was able to get all that lick damage in with Snorlax against, against my opponent's Snorlax, I guess. What was I talking about? My gosh. How did I lose track of what was going on in this game? I don't know. I was like talking about the last game or something. You know what? It's fine. It's fine. Just ignore me. I must be tired. So I'm going to bring Snorlax back out against this Excadrill, and I am going to shield this Drill Run. And the reason I'm shielding that isn't because it would KO, or even that it would do more damage than the superpower, but I was hoping that this Snorlax would superpower, because I know I would survive it, and I'm hoping that they won't survive this superpower after they debuff themselves, because if this superpower lands and I'm able to lick down and KO, I have a superpower loaded for Excadrill, but we're barely able to outbulk and survive. Managed to take me out, and that's GG. Actually, if my Snorlax had been a hundo, it might have flipped that, just because the body slams would have done 1 more HP of damage, and I don't know if that might have actually been enough. All right, Gyarados into Excadrill. This is a very good lead. They're going to safe swap into Gyarados, and so as soon as I see this, I'm immediately thinking, like, whether it was Excadrill and they ended up when they safe swap Gyarados, there is a pretty decent chance there's a Togekiss in the back, because Excadrill Togekiss form kind of a nice core front back. So if I can win swap here, that would be ideal. But even if I don't, I'm going to end up coming back in with Gyarados and farming, which would also end up being fine. So I'm not going to shield this. Turns out to be a crunch, and I'm going to just barely be able to lick the rest of the way down. My gosh, that was really close. And now I'm just spamming out my Body Slam. And this one is actually flanked by a Dragonite instead of a Togekiss. So that's, like, fine. I guess it's slightly worse for me, actually. Thankfully, I won Switch Advantage here, so I was able to get that. And now I have the alignment that I need. I'm able to bring Metagross out and keep Metagross away from the Excadrill. Just kind of hoping my opponent's not going to catch, and they definitely do anyway. I was throwing a Psychic because I was hoping to get the debuff if it landed on Dragonite and kind of, so that my Bullet Punches would do more. Because I knew if I threw a move, they would shield regardless, so it just, made a little sense to use an extra little bit of energy to throw Psychic. Here I am throwing the Crunch, which is probably the wrong move. Like, I could just throw Aqua Tails from here. This Dragonite is already super, super low. I get a shield, I don't get a debuff, that's fine, and at this point, I can just Bullet Punch down with Metagross and shield everything. Like, even if I get double Dragon Claw baited, they won't be able to reach 2 Dragon Claws plus like a Draco or Hurricane before I'm able to Bullet Punch down. So just going to shield here also to be super safe. It is the Hurricane. That is fine. Good shield. Hurricane wouldn't have KO'd from there, but if they had turned out to have something like Draco, then it would have. So yeah, just trying to be safe and shield all of those moves. All right. Next up, Gyarados into Tangrowth. Tangrowth is a pretty unusual Pokemon to have, but it is pretty strong against Waterfall Gyarados, not going to lie. So I am just going to safe swap my Snorlax. It is the more common safe swap. You swap to whatever is more neutral to the thing that you're battling, and Snorlax is just neutral to so many things. That's why I keep using it as a safe swap. So yeah, after I took that first hit, now they're going to bring out Metagross, and that's fine for me, actually. So I can definitely force my way into Switch Advantage here. The Licks do so much damage to Metagross, and the Bullet Punches do, pretty respectable damage. Worst way that this matchup could end up going is if I overbait, like, Body Slams and end up having to, like, shield twice. Here, at least, if they let the superpower go, I'm able to lick down and not have to use an extra shield. If I had tried to, like, go double if I tried to Body Slam bait, if they had no shielded it, as they ended up doing, I would have ended up having to go down 2 shields to maintain alignment, and I don't really want to do that because I don't know for sure that Gyarados can, beat the thing that's in the back by that much. Well, same, I'm going to end up landing plenty of chip damage on this Tangrowth, and then I'm going to bring out Metagross, which is a total wall to Tangrowth. My opponent had Excadrill in the back, so definitely a good thing that I won alignment there, and yeah, managed to take that game. That's GG. Alright, next up against Ails07. Gyarados into Togekiss. So I'm definitely concerned that there is a Metagross in the back. I'm going to swap into Snorlax right away anyway, just to see what kind of thing I can draw out. So, gonna land this Body Slam. Togekiss is staying in for kind of a while, and there's the Excadrill that's in the back. I actually brought it out into Snorlax. So, I'm guessing the other thing is probably like a Metagross or something. I don't know. I'm not sure why. Why would they? What else is back there? My gosh. If you bring an Excadrill out into a loaded Snorlax. Like, I can survive that drill run, and now I'm going to be able to throw this this next superpower. Like, if they hadn't made a catch, this would have been terrible for them, because I would have been able to double superpower. It would have done so much damage. All the same, they are going to end with a little bit of energy, so I'm just going to Waterfall the whole way down, and I'm going to shield this Rock Slide. I would survive. Rock Slide would do like 65-ish% damage to my Gyarados. But definitely want to hang on to all of this health, because I don't know what else is back there yet. But Excadrill, like the hardest counter to Metagross, is out of the picture now. So since it can't be that, this should be okay as long as I'm able to take this last shield. So I can no-shield the Ancient Power. It really just isn't that great of a move, doesn't do a lot of damage, and they let that go. And there's a Gyarados in the back. So that's, yeah, also pretty good against my Metagross. I'm going to throw this Crunch, and since they snuck in a Waterfall, I'm actually going to switch out, because I'm confident that if I switch out, I'll be able to get to another Crunch. I get the Defense Fall, which is fantastic. It means these Bullet Punches do a little bit more damage, which definitely helps. And I'm going to no-shield this, because even if it's a Crunch, which would almost take my Metagross out at that point, like, I'd be able to Waterfall down with my own Gyarados after the defense drop. So it's perfectly safe here either way. Just going to throw this Meteor Mash. And, yeah, Bullet Punch the rest of the way down. Managed to take that game. That's GG. Alright, next up against Suzuchan. Gyarados into Mamoswine. This is a fantastic lead for this team. Gyarados is very strong against Mamoswine. If they stay in, you just don't even throw a charge move, just farm the whole way down. And unless they deny and the game like lags you a little bit, then you should be able to just, full fast move them down. But they're going to safe swap into a Togekiss. I'm going to bring Metagross out. And, I mean, they can't really bring Mamoswine back in because I have loaded energy, and they bring Mamoswine in anyway, so I'm actually going to be able to reach this Meteor Mash and CMP them when they are reaching their Drill Run. And they shield, and I considered no shielding so that, I could just bring Gyarados in, but, I figured there was a decent chance that they might have something like a Dragonite in the back, so it just felt a little bit safer to hang on to Metagross longer, and it's actually a Magnezone back there. So I am built up to what could totally be an Earthquake, but since I don't actually have Earthquake, I have to throw Psychic. Yeah, and I get the last shield. So if I had thrown an Earthquake, I would be able to just shield once and reach another Earthquake. So having Earthquake would actually have made this matchup a lot cleaner, but I'm still pretty much safe because I have a Snorlax, and Snorlax can survive 2 Wild Charges. So I am just going to let this first Mirror Shot go, and if it had been a Wild Charge, that would have been fine. I figured this would be a Wild Charge, and that's fine also, and it's actually just another Mirror Shot bait. Like, I was totally prepared for my Snorlax to take 2 Wild Charges. It would have been absolutely fine. Here, they're finally going to throw the Wild Charge, and it does not quite enough damage to take a Snorlax down from 50% health, and going to land this Body Slam. Mamoswine's going to come back out, and I'm just going to lick the rest of the way down and 3-ball my opponent, and that's GG. Mamoswine is a very good lead for this team. Alright. Next up, against Marcel Desailly. Gyarados into Gyarados. So, my favorite thing about the Waterfall Gyarados mirror is that there's a decent chance that behind the Waterfall Gyarados there will be a Double Charm team. I think I said this earlier and it turned out not to be the case, but I mean, I'm sure at least 1 or 2 of these games have Waterfall Gyarados Double Charm. Waterfall Gyarados Double Charm is such a popular team right now. I might have just left some of those games out. So I land the Crunch, and my opponent sneaks in a Waterfall, and that's unfortunate. They're going to shield the Aqua Tail, and that is fine. I sneak a Waterfall back in, so yeah, I'm just going to let this go. Turns out to be a Crunch, and I am going to get Waterfall down. This was the best buddy Gyarados. There's a Togekiss in the back. Since they actively swapped, I'm going to swap my Metagross out into it, and my opponent is going to resign the game. So it's possible there was another Charmer back there, but it's also possible that they just didn't have a good enough answer to Snorlax plus a loaded, Metagross that was going to come out of there. All right, next up against Asian Milkman. Shout out to Milky, who is opening Heracross, a very off-meta pick. So this is a pretty decent matchup for Gyarados. Obviously, Heracross recently, I think it was this season, got Rock Blast as a coverage move, so that made it a little bit more viable in more situations. And there's some variants to the moveset it could have. Could also have Close Combat or Mega Horn. I was going to shield the first move just to confirm that it was in fact Rock Blast and that I wasn't misremembering it, because if it turned out to be Stone Edge, that would have been terrible for me. Heracross is going to go down. Rock Blast just isn't that good of a move, so it just doesn't do that much damage. And Heracross doesn't have a ton of combat power to begin with. So Magnezone comes out, and I am totally fine with this thing farming me down because those sparks do a lot, so it doesn't get that much farm. I get my shield back. And, I mean, the Magnezone has some energy, but that's okay. So I've taken a bunch of sparks, and now I'm going to take a Wild Charge. It does not quite do enough damage. 2 Wild Charges doesn't take me out. I'm barely into the yellow. I will definitely survive this Wild Charge, but I'm going to shield it anyway, because I don't know what's back there yet. And there's a Mamoswine in the back. So I'm just going to immediately swap out to my Metagross so that this Mamoswine can't get too far ahead on energy. They are going to reach their Bulldoze before I'm able to throw my first Meteor Mash, but that is fine. Now I'm going to build up some excess energy. I'm going to try to throw here before they get to their Avalanche. And I still have enough health and energy that I should be able to reach a Psychic against this Magnezone, which will do a lot, but not, enough. I get the shield, even though it couldn't possibly have been an Earthquake. And now I'm going to throw the Superpower. I'm going to have to eat a Wild Charge first because Magnezone wins CMP, except that the game lags on Milky, so he doesn't get to throw his Wild Charge. So, yeah, I mean, I would 100% have survived the wild charge anyway, but, yeah. Always sucks when the game, doesn't let you do the thing you're supposed to be able to do. Like, I was supposed to have to eat the wild charge first, but, like, that game would have gone that way anyway. So it's, at least, like, if it had flipped the game, then I would have felt terrible. All right. So I think this was an Excadrill lead, and he safe swaps into a Gyarados. So most likely the thing in the back is either going to be a Dragonite or a Togekiss, probably Togekiss. But we'll see. So I'm going to end up eating that Aqua Tail. Like, I should maybe fight for switch advantage, but it's so hard to start shielding against the Gyarados and actually win switch. Whereas if I no shield, if I don't let them sneak in any moves, can get the shield off that body slam. And, if I didn't let them sneak in a waterfall earlier, I think this body slam plus the licks might have gotten me a simultaneous KO. Also, maybe if I had actually an actual Hundo Snorlax. Regardless, I'm going to bring my own Gyarados back out, no shield this Aqua Tail, and at least have a little bit of farm. And yeah, there is in fact a Togekiss in the back. So the right way to play this is not the way I played it earlier in the video. The right way to play this, if it turns out to be a Togekiss Excadrill core, is just to stay in with Gyarados and spam out your Aqua Tails. Like, they can't let their Togekiss faint because you cannot mudshot down a Gyarados. I mean, I guess you technically could mudshot down a Gyarados, but they can't do it from that much health. I'd have to be within one charm of dying for them to be able to mudshot down safely. So yeah, just going to eat that Drill Run. I guess this would be one of the situations where it would be better to have Earthquake. I guess there's maybe more of those situations than Psychic turns out to be useful. But yeah, I don't know why I'm still running Psychic. Like, I was able to sneak in a Bullet Punch, so I'm just going to be able to Bullet Punch the rest of the way down and have a Meteor Mash loaded for Togekiss. But if I had Earthquake, would have been safer way to play that matchup for sure. Yeah. But all right, that was GG. All right, next up against Shinshin. Gyarados into Haxorus. So Haxorus, we've discussed before, not an amazing lead for me. Like, the first time I was encountering this, I was thinking to myself, I'm resisting these counters. How bad can this really be? And it just turns out Haxorus is just so spammy. And, Stab Dragon Claw does a lot for a neutral hit. Haxorus has fairly high attack. That's why it's kind of squishy. So I got a shield. I could shield here. If I don't, I'm just barely not able to reach this Aqua Tail. This is actually a pretty difficult situation to be in. I'm going to bring out Metagross because I can't even really lick down from there, and I'm not I know I could Bullet Punch down. I'm going to shield the first Night Slash, which is a mistake. I should definitely shield the second Night Slash instead of the first one, and I am going to Bullet Punch the whole way down after taking this Night Slash that does way too much damage. They going to actively swap out into Metagross, and I could have thrown, an Earthquake if I had an Earthquake, or thrown not Earthquake and pretended I had Earthquake, but I instead opted to just swap into Snorlax right away. If they turn out to have a hard counter to Metagross in the back and they were swapping their more neutral thing, then I'm putting myself in a difficult position for sure. So, yeah. Gonna land that superpower, and it does not quite do enough. I'm gonna shield this Meteor Mash because I'm feeling like I should be able to lick the rest of the way down, and I just barely am. I am so ridiculously low right now. Spamming out this this Body Slam, and I should do a lick or two before swapping out into Metagross because I don't quite have a Body Slam loaded, and having a loaded move would actually maybe turn out to be useful later in the game. You never know. Gonna land this Meteor Mash here. Take out the Togekiss and try to Bullet Punch down Haxorus, but I'm just not quite able to make it. And I had to throw one lick before I had the energy for Body Slam. So they were able to get their counter through and were able to take me out. I should have thrown one lick before I swapped out. It would have been able to flip that matchup. But that was a GG. That was a really close game. All right, Machamp in the lead. This is fairly decent for Gyarados. Obviously, I usually will shield, get cross chop baited, and then, I'll end up having to shield the next Rock Slide. But this time he actually goes straight Rock Slide and then swaps out to Snorlax. So that's fine. I'm expecting maybe an Excadrill or something in the back because Machamp is pretty weak against Togekiss and Dragonite, and Excadrill or Metagross will both do a pretty good job of covering that. So I'm expecting some kind of Steel in the back. So winning Switch would definitely be nice. But I can't really use my shields either, just because Machamp can threaten both of my Pokemon if shields are down. Like with Metagross, literally just cross chops, which hit for neutral but do so much. And he's actually going to actively swap into his Machamp to snipe down my Snorlax, so I go down with all of that energy. I'm going to throw this Aqua Tail. I'm at back-to-back, so I could throw another, but if he lets this go, I'll actually just be able to Waterfall down, and this can only be a cross chop, so I'm going to let it go. And it does really not that much damage. Able to finish Waterfalling down. Snorlax is going to come back out, and I am just going to spam out this Aqua Tail as soon as I can, and I switch out to Metagross to catch this move, and that's fine. Like, they can't switch out because their switch timer is still locked, and there is a Metagross in the back. I have an energy lead, but I don't have Earthquake, so I can't actually double Earthquake this Metagross, which is the sensible thing to do. Instead, I'm going to end up throwing a Meteor Mash. And since they haven't thrown anything yet, I'm just going to throw this other Meteor Mash. And now, at this point, now the game is over anyway. Like, if I had Earthquake, I could just have shielded and double Earthquake because I had enough of an energy lead. But because I carry Psychic, I have to Meteor Mash, which is fine. Psychic is definitely good for something. I don't know why I didn't... Like, I'm cherry-picking these matches, obviously, anyway. I don't know why I didn't pick matches where Psychic was useful to make my case. My gosh. These are being played between like random Kanto matches, so I guess, you know, it was hard to weed through everything for this video, but yeah, come on, Ferrikster. You could have cherry picked harder. All right, so another Tangrowth. I thought it was a very unusual pick the first time I saw it, and the second time I'm like, all right, I guess this is a team. So yeah, they're gonna bring in Metagross again, so I guess this must be someone's team. And I'm just going to go straight Body Slam so that I don't reduce the amount of damage that my licks do. I'm going to have to shield once, and after the shield, I will throw Superpower, and if they no shield, I can lick the rest of the way down. And if they do shield, I should be able to just shield and lick and throw a Body Slam or something. Oh my gosh, I have to throw a Body Slam here anyway. All right, okay, this is fine. So I get a shield back, and that is okay. Just going to lick the rest of the way down here. Yeah, going to have to shield here. And I have one switch advantage, which is really important because, like, they'll Vine Whip down, but Metagross is such a wall to Tangrowth's energy. The Power Whip does, I don't know, like 20-something% damage. It's not like 20% damage, it's 20-something%, but it's definitely not a lot. Gonna get Gyarados trained on this Excadrill in the back. Whenever your lead is weak to a Metagross, very common to have Excadrill in the back to close if you're able to win with your Switch. So just gonna throw this Aqua Tail to force the last shield out. This is actually pretty dangerous. If I had gotten that last Waterfall through, I'd be completely safe. But now I have to come back out with Metagross, and gonna have to Bullet Punch the rest of the way down. This Excadrill just barely gets to its Drill Run here. Actually, I think it had it one turn ago. Gonna throw that, not quite able to take me out, and only because I was able to, like, fill up with energy, I'm able to spam out this Meteor Mash and take out this Tangrowth that was absolutely loaded with energy in the first place. So, yeah. Barely managed to take that game, but yeah, that's a GG. That was rough. I would have lost that if they had actually thrown one of their moves with Tangrowth before switching out. So hopefully if I encounter them again, they don't do that next time because then they'll kill me. Alright, so Togekiss in the lead. I switch out to Snorlax right away. And they're staying in right now. So yeah, switching out to their own Snorlax, catching a Body Slam, that is okay. Our switch timers are pretty desynced at this point. But they are fresh into theirs, so I know that they really don't want to throw Superpower. Superpower would obviously take me out from here, but they're going to Body Slam bait, and that's fine. I am throwing my own Body Slam bait before switching out. And yeah, get a shield. So that's great. Now I'm going to throw my Superpower. Since I have not debuffed myself yet, this Superpower will still do respectable damage. And I would stay in, but like I'm going to switch out because I don't want to get licked down. If the Snorlax is able to lick me the rest of the way down, it'll end with like 2 Body Slams loaded. And 2 Body Slams absolutely hurts Gyarados pretty badly. I am going to throw my Aqua Tail here because I know they're pretty close to their second Body Slam anyway, and I don't want to take that chip damage. Because since there was a Togekiss in the lead, I think there's a pretty good chance there's an Excadrill in the back. I should really shield this Ancient Power. I don't know why I didn't shield that Ancient Power. My gosh. If I had shielded the Ancient Power, I could have forced the last shield out of Togekiss, and then I'd have Metagross with, like, 1 shield against something with no shields. And it turns out to be a Gyarados instead. So, fine, because I have Psychic, because I have thought ahead, apparently. Also, I get the defense fall because Psychic is so overpowered and such a viable move choice for Metagross. The recommended set is Earthquake, but I'm running Psychic because it's a lot better against Gyaradoses, and I am able to, throw this Psychic, and it takes Gyarados out. And, that's a GG. So there we go. Use case for Psychic. Actually, if I had Earthquake, I actually would have lost that matchup. Like for real. I'm not just being annoying. I would not have won that matchup if I had Earthquake. All right, Swampert in the lead. Swampert is very weak to Gyarados. Obviously, they're gonna safe swap their own Gyarados. I'm gonna throw 2 of my own Waterfalls and then swap out into Snorlax just because I'm being a little bit slow. So they don't get the Crunch debuff, which definitely helps. But this is the best buddy Gyarados, and it's running Dragon Breath, so this is actually kind of dangerous. Like, if I should definitely try to win switch advantage, like probably by shielding this move, which turns out to just be an Aqua Tail, but still, I would have needed to shield it if I was going to force my way into switch. So, gonna throw this Body Slam. It gets a shield, and I'm going to be able to reach my next Body Slam. Very good counting by my opponent. They're going to throw this Aqua Tail to prevent me from getting there. But I would much rather get my opponent's last shield. If they were to no-shield this, we might have ended up with like a simultaneous KO. Like, it would be really, really close. Actually, no, I'm pretty sure I would have KO'd them, even though this is best buddy. All right. So, since this Gyarados is running Dragon Breath instead of Waterfall, I'm actually just going to bring Metagross out and just farm up. If they let me farm them the whole way down, I should be able to hit Swampert with a pair of Psychics, and I'm saving my shield because I don't know what else is back there. They actively swapped out into Swampert, and for whatever reason, I'm throwing my Psychic anyway. I could have just swapped to Gyarados. So I'm going to build up as much energy as I can and then switch out at the last second to catch the Hydro Cannon on my Gyarados. It still does, like, something. It doesn't do nothing, but I'm just going to farm them the whole way down. This is coming out kind of late, but this cannot be a Sludge Wave yet. Most Swamperts that I've encountered actually are running Hydro Cannon Sludge Wave. But yeah, that could only have been a Hydro Cannon, so I'm going to save my shield. And yeah, there's a Togekiss in the back. So, yeah, winning switch advantage would have made this really easy. Tried to throw my Aqua Tail there, and even if they had caught it on their own Gyarados, it would have been fine because my Metagross was pretty close to a Meteor Mash. So yeah, that's GG. All right, Gyarados into Shadow Dragonite. This is a terrible lead for me. Regular Dragonite also quite bad. Shadow Dragonite probably equally bad. I don't think one is much worse for me than the other. So, yeah, I'm going to spam out this Body Slam since they have stayed in. And I was honestly really surprised that I didn't get the shield, but also I'm fine with doing that chip damage. This is probably a Dragon Claw bait, but I'm going to shield it anyway. And, yeah, that is what it turns out to be. And there's a Metagross in the back. So, this is fine. I could definitely shield this and force my way into switch advantage if I really want to. I mean, they have 2 shields, so I don't know if I can actually force my way to switch advantage or not. I'm going to throw this Superpower. I don't want to bait because I feel like they're going to no-shield, and they actually do shield. But my switch timer is up, so that's all right. I'm going to switch out into my own Gyarados. Like, I am going to end up eating this Meteor Mash. Nothing to worry about. Metagross is never carrying Psychic, so when you have a Gyarados into a Metagross, you're totally safe. No Metagross is running Psychic. I promise. For sure. So I have to throw this Aqua Tail here so I would at least get the last shield because they were about to get to another Meteor Mash and I would not quite survive it by that much. Like, I would, but it'd be super, super low. And I really wish that Waterfall would have gone through, but they are throwing their Dragon Claw at the right time and they're able to take me out there. I'm going to bring in Metagross, and I don't get to get any moves in on here, and I don't even have Earthquake, so I can't, like, even throw the nuke. I'm just going to have to throw this Meteor Mash, and I get the shields. That's fine. I'm going to switch out into Snorlax and combo play at kind of a random feeling time, land this Superpower, and it does not KO. I get a lick in, and yeah, they're going to throw this Drill Run. It is going to take me out. It would have just barely taken me out anyway, I think, even if I had let them throw first. I needed to throw one more Bullet Punch in order to take them out, so I needed to throw one Bullet Punch before swapping and making that combo play, but I was so nervous they were going to throw the Drill Run. Such a close game off of a really difficult lead, but that was really well played by my opponents. That's a GG. And yeah, with that last game, this particular set, which I don't know if even contained the last 4 games that we saw before this, maybe not, maybe. Yeah, with that, I claim those points. I go up to 3,500, breaking the 3,500 mark. So, yeah, that's my team. Hope you enjoyed this content. Don't forget to do the things you know you're supposed to do at the ends of videos. You know what you're supposed to do at the ends of videos. Please do the things. Helps me out a whole lot. Yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one.